So we're go ahead and get started. My name is Zoe. I'm a partner success manager here, and we're joined by Brandon, our senior solutions engineer, and Arun, our staff engineer. We also have Marcus on the call. I'm not sure if he's visible because his camera's off, and you can keep your camera off, Marcus, but just wanted to introduce you as well since you might be there for everyone. So thank you for joining us. These are our monthly feature release webinars. If this is your first time joining us, thank you. If you've joined us a few times before, welcome back. This is a new series we started at the beginning of this year just to make sure that we're able to show our partners all of the new features that are being released within the Cork Vantage platform every month. We are releasing so many cool new features, so much exciting things that really bring a lot of value to our partners. We want to make sure that you're seeing it and really getting that true value. So we've got these monthly webinars to take care of that. We also have our monthly newsletter that goes out at the end of the month to kind of recap what came out that month and maybe what's to look ahead for. So we'll go ahead and get into it today. We do have a couple, platform enhancements and things like that, new integrations. And then we have one bigger feature release that actually just came out at the end of the month. So it's actually a little bit sort of like a teaser surprise because it was not advertised in our webinar announcement. So this is like an exciting little surprise feature for you. And I'm going to turn it over to Brandon to share with you.
Cool.
And oh, sorry, one more thing. The chat is open. Please, if you have any questions at any point, pop it in there. We'll be able to get to that on the call today. And we'd love to hear your feedback, comments, anything throughout the call. So please feel free to interact with us. We'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Zoe. Yeah, today we'll kind of show off the newest feature as well. We also want to do just like a slight recap of some of the other stuff. We've also changed one aspect of the platform, and that's part of the new feature rollout that we did. But yeah, let me go ahead and get my screen shared out here, and then we'll jump right into it. Let's see. There we go. And then if I can just get a thumbs up from my fellow panelists that is showing. Sweet. Awesome. Okay, so this newest feature that we released actually has to do with the software vulnerabilities tab. If you guys were here for some of the previous webinars, we kind of talked about this. The feature itself of the software vulnerabilities category is still in beta, but we are adding things to that to make it more useful on your kind of day-to-day operations and everything. And so if I go into one of the customers here, so actually we'll go into this one right here. And if I scroll down, you'll see software vulnerabilities down there at the bottom. But there is a new button in the dashboard now that says generate installer script. So the idea behind this was that, we got a lot of feedback about what partners kind of wanted to use the platform for, or, what would be a cool thing to do inside the platform now that we're showing, a lot of this different style of information. Now, one of them was, when we did the software vulnerabilities, people really wanted a way to go ahead and either patch that directly from the interface here or generate something where we could do that. And that is actually what this is right here. So you'll notice that I can actually click this at the very top level. And what it's going to do is it's going to give me an option to choose between package managers. And if you don't know what a package manager is, it is simply a platform where a lot of installer scripts are kept for a lot of commonly used software. It's everything from first-party stuff to third-party stuff. And you can kind of choose between the two repositories here. But what I will show you is that if we take this machine up on top here, and actually I'll stop there for a sec too. One of the other changes that we have made to software vulnerabilities is that we now default to sorting by device. So device will actually, you'll see that first and foremost when you log in. Previously, it was sorted by vulnerability, but now it's by device. And you can still access that as well. So if you want to change that, of course, you can kind of, choose whatever your preference is there. But now I can see that this particular device here has a critical vulnerability associated with it. And the priority here is actually going to show the highest level of vulnerability associated with that machine. It does not mean that that's the only vulnerability. And so if I click into here, you'll see that there's actually 4 different programs or products on this machine that have some sort of vulnerability associated with them. The version over here is actually talking about the version of product that is currently on the machine that has that vulnerability. So if you had different versions of software installed, this could potentially show up as well. Just telling you, how many different versions of that is actually present. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this one right here for Mozilla Thunderbird. And when I click on that, I can see that there is a lot of CVEs associated with this vulnerability. And let's say I want to go in here and I want to be sure that this is patched, for my client and that particular device or any device that's actually running Thunderbird. And so I'll hit generate installer script. I will choose my package manager for this. We'll just choose a winget. And you'll notice too, what it does is it automatically selects the publisher, which is Mozilla, and then it also filters by the name of that particular product as well, which in this case is Thunderbird. There are a couple instances where this may not be an exact reflection of the actual product itself. The biggest culprit of this is currently Edge Chromium, where Edge Chromium doesn't return anything, but Edge does. So just double check the product name and manually type it in if you have to, but that should give you the results that you need. So from here, what I would do is come down to the publisher and the name of the product, and I'll click this. And then it's also going to allow me to produce a batch script and then a PowerShell script that goes along with that. Sorry, a batch file and a PowerShell script. And these can be used through your RMM tool to go ahead and update that particular piece of software across all of the devices for that particular client if you want to, or you could do a targeted device through your RMM. Really, we're just kind of giving you the tool, which is the script itself, to go ahead and patch that for those particular machines. And these installer scripts, they do download as well. So once you get that script, if you need to make manual adjustments to it, you are able to do that. If you just want to keep it as is, it will go ahead and update itself to that current version of Thunderbird. We also do have the ability, if there are previous versions of that software as well, you can also choose which version of that software actually gets chosen. So you can see up here, once I actually look at that PowerShell script, the version over here, by default, it'll select the most recent one. But if you know that there is a version of that software that you need to go to but not go past because something else in the environment might break, we wanted to give you that option to be very selective in terms of which version gets installed so that you can kind of choose the most recent version that works for you and your environment. Of course, we're pretty familiar with the MSP space, and we're a lot of those environments are running on older software and whatnot that may break, if it's updated to the absolute latest. So we wanted to take that into consideration and go from there. One of the things that you'll kind of notice about this too is that it is not just limited to what I have clicked on over here, right? So if I go back to the package manager itself, I can type in any publisher here. So I can type in Microsoft, and I could even delete the name here, but I could then theoretically go here and generate an installer script for any piece of software that I want. So the initial focus of this was to do it just for the vulnerabilities, but we've kind of expanded this and kind of realized that this is actually a pretty useful tool just for general software deployments, if that's something that partners wanted to do. So you can actually use it in either capacity. Right now, it is kind of geared towards the vulnerability section and will autofill from the vulnerability data. But yeah, you can come in here and I'll just, type in Edge, and then there's the most recent version of Microsoft Edge. I could click this and also generate an installer script for that. The all the data too, as part of software vulnerabilities, has remained intact. We've just kind of changed the way that it's ordered a little bit, but I do want to do a little bit of a refresher here for this. So the big thing that we kind of show is the device itself, the program in question that has the vulnerability, the version of that particular program where the CVEs are associated with it. And then once we go into that version, we can actually see each of the CVEs as they pertain to this. So if you were ever curious about where we're pulling that security information from, you can always click on this and it will bring you to that particular document as it's available inside the NIST database in particular. Or if I switch this to CVE, I can continue to click into these. So you can see there's the CVE right there. And then I also can pull up potential resolutions for that, as well as the sources where this information is coming from. So there's now a bunch of different ways to kind of view this information, as it pertains to what you guys want to do on a daily basis. The biggest thing that we would say for this is please give us feedback about this and let us know how, you end up using it on a day-to-day basis, what you would like to see about it, how if you would prefer to see it organized in a slightly different fashion. We do have big plans for this. This is kind of like step one of a larger idea that we have about device management in general and just kind of making that information more accessible to partners such as yourselves. So that is the kind of crowning feature of the 26.2 update that we just released. And this, like I said, this is live, so you should see it as part of any one of your clients. The only contingency of this is that it is still dependent on your RMM tool being able to show the software inventory to us on our side. So there are some RMM tools that don't allow the software inventory to be pulled. We have outlined those particular RMM tools in our documentation, which will be sure to, go out along with the webinar, but help.corkinc.com will also have that information available to you there. And proceeding from there too, I just want to do a quick refresher as well. The last big feature that we released was actually up here, and it's the Cork Cyber Score. So this feature down here for the installer scripts was also a direct complement to the Cork Cyber Score, because one of the biggest categories that impacts the cyber score is actually the vulnerabilities category. So the cyber score is dramatically influenced by how many compliance issues there are and how many software vulnerabilities there are. With compliance issues, of course, you still have the ability to click this little question mark bubble, and it will give you potential remediation options inside that you can take advantage of inside that particular piece of software, as well as the underlying signals and the reasonings why we kind of bring that compliance issue up. But now, vulnerabilities also has that same level of capacity where you have some potential remediation options inside the Cork platform that can assist with this, and then overall kind of raise this score up here. So. I will say too, we are also, because this is such a brand new deployment and because we're rolling out a bunch of features, we are actively looking for feedback about the Cork Cyber Score as well. I want to say that none of these things are actually going to be, they're not concrete, right? We very much value partner feedback. If they need to change because of partner consensus, we want to be able to do that for you guys. Pretty small team over here at Cork, which actually kind of allows us to pivot very quickly when it comes to these things, and we're always looking for suggestions on improvements and how to better utilize this data, how to create more useful tools for you, different organization methods, so that it just helps you, like I said, on your day-to-day basis. So there are some smaller updates as well that have come out in 26.2. We'll link that in the chat. I can actually throw that in there real quick. Let me do that. And these are mostly going to be smaller updates. It's going to be some smaller improvements and stuff that we've done, such as slight modifications to the Microsoft Partner Center and GDAP controls. We have updated the ConnectWise ASIO vendor integration to display friendly companies. We have also done some API optimization when it comes to some of the other vendors and some bug fixes and whatnot. So all of that stuff is actually inside that article there, and you can click on that and kind of view that information. So check the chat real quick, see if there is any questions, and not at the moment, but if there are questions, please put them in the chat, and then we'll definitely get to them on the call, or one of our panelists will also respond to you in the chat directly as well. But with that, we do actually have some more sales information as well on top of the new feature updates that we've done. And for that, I'm actually going to pass the torch back over to Zoe.
Yeah, thanks, Brandon. Like he said, if any questions come up based on anything we just talked about, feel free to put them in the chat. We'll definitely have time to get back to that. Speaking on the Cork Cyber Score, I know Brandon said we're actively looking for feedback. I'm going to post a link in the chat. We just got access to this new video testimonial software. It's really fun, it's unique, it's easy to use, and we are really looking for testimonials and partner feedback around the Cork Cyber Score, and of course our platform as a whole. If you have other things to say, always feel free to shoot us an email and give us that feedback. But if you're feeling up to it and you have found the cyber score really useful, it has maybe made conversations with your clients easier or impacted your business or their business, we would love to hear that from you. Take a few minutes and record a video testimonial. We would love that. I'm going to post that link. Like I said, it's really easy software to use. It's all set up for you, and you could do like a 30-second video. If being on camera is not your thing, I totally get it. You can email me a testimonial if you have some passionate words to say. I would still love to hear them. So I'm going to post that link here for the video testimonial, and then I'll throw my email in there as well if you just want to shoot me a quote and we can use that instead. So much appreciated. And then moving on to a couple other new features that I want to point out, one of them being new marketing material within the platform. So we do currently have marketing content that's available to you in the platform. If you go to the admin tab and the marketing materials section, you can drag and drop your company logo in there and we create some co-branded content for you. That's something that's been available for quite some time, but we just recently rebranded our whole partner marketing kit, and I'm really excited about it because there's some incredible new content in there that we've gotten some feedback on already. It has been really useful with their clients. So everything in there is intended to help you talk to your clients about the financial protection offering and everything that Cork has to offer and how you're providing it for them as their MSP. So there's sales decks, one pagers, email templates, social media graphics, video. So lots of, and everything's brand new. I don't think there's anything that carried over from before. So definitely check it out if you haven't seen it yet already. And then we do plan to add more material to that. I think we have a phase 2 rollout scheduled for like an April timeframe. So we'll be sure to keep you all posted when new content comes in there, but keep your eye out as well. And if there's things that you'd like to see that says you'd think would make conversations easier or would benefit your SMB clients, definitely let us know and we can see about getting that built out for you. And then the last thing I wanted to go over is some of our newer financial protection offerings. So we've had our Protect 100 and 500 financial protection offerings since, basically since Cork came onto the market. Just recently, I would say about 6 months ago, we released Protect 25 and 50, which are two newer tiers designed for rolling out to your entire client base. And so I wanted to kind of touch on those a little bit in case you didn't know that we offered those smaller packages, and also just to kind of give you an idea behind like the why behind why we created them, excuse me, and how they might be a better benefit to you. So I'm going to share this here, and can everyone see that? All good? Okay, awesome. So this is just kind of a look across the 4 different SKUs that we offer. And it kind of started, talking with MSPs and a lot of our partners, hearing from them like what was stopping them from adding this financial protection to their entire client base, right? We see that as such a crucial piece to financial continuity, business continuity, and we wanted to know, like there on the market, like there's really not anything else that is doing what this is doing, right? This operational telemetry with financial protection in the same way that Cork does. And so we found out like when you talk to a lot of these SMBs, these 100 and 500, like the numbers just felt a little too big to them, right? And they kind of felt like if a 500,000 cyber event happens, we may be closing our doors anyways, right? And so we had to kind of take it down, pare it down and say, let's create a smaller financial protection layer that better reflects what the SMBs might be experiencing when they have a loss, right? So we're looking at, business email compromise, wire transfer fraud, smaller remediation events, and the biggest one is incident response cleanup work. And those are like the $5, $10, $20,000 events that we're seeing across these SMB clients. And so as their MSP, you're saying to them, hey, if you lost $10,000 tomorrow, like, do you actually have the liquid cash to handle that? The research shows, I think SMBs have about 18 days of cash on hand to if they were to experience a financial event. So we created Protect 25 and 50, and the biggest highlight here that I want to point out is that incident response is now covered on all plans. So before that was not included even in our Protect 100, but when we rolled these out, we found that that was kind of the biggest thing that MSPs were doing for their clients and sometimes not even charging for. So we decided to include that with the 100. And then when we built 25 and 50, we wanted to make sure that was included there as well. So when they're doing incident response, or it's like on these smaller incidents, we were asking MSPs, do you charge for that? And most of the time they were saying no, right? They do like password resets, they have to clean things up, investigate, and they just end up absorbing that cost. And when you look at that, like from the business perspective, those costs really add up. So we included that, and basically as a way for you to say to your clients, if something happens, all those billable hours, incident response coverage, it's all taken care of for you. And so now what we're seeing is more and more MSPs are just including this as a base to their as a base to their package offering, right? So it's not necessarily just financial protection anymore. It becomes a service differentiator. You can say that all of the work is now just billed directly back to Cork or the MSP in this case, right? And making sure that they not only have technical, like their technology is secure, but they have business and financial continuity. And I think that's kind of the most important piece. So with that, I will say that 25 and 50 were designed to roll out across your entire client base, whereas 100 and 500 can be purchased like one-offs, one client at a time. 25 and 50 have to be to your entire client base, but it's priced in a way that it's typically something the MSP just absorbs the cost on and then uses that, like I said, as that business differentiator and a way to make sure that no money is coming out of pocket and everyone has that financial continuity if something were to happen.
Then Zoe, I saw in the chat there too. I'll take a second to answer that. So Philip asked, do the 25 and 50 still have a 10 user limit? The answer is no. We can actually do a 5 user limit for that at the moment. So
Good question and good answer. Thank you. All right. So, any other questions there or comments, feedback? I know I ran through that kind of quickly, but
sorry, not limit. I'm at minimum, not limit. I can't just do 10 or 5 as the max though. It is a minimum. But yeah, you can do 5 minimum.
all right. And yeah, like I said, we've got a lot of marketing content and things to help you talk to your clients about this because I know sometimes when you bring this up, a lot of clients, they don't really want to hear it or they just think they're not going to be affected, right? So that's the point of all of our content is we want to help you make those conversations easier and help them see this as a necessity and not just like a nice to have type of thing. All right. That is all we have today. We went through that pretty quickly. So unless there are any other questions, like Brandon said, we do have those help docs on our help page at all times. You can access that at just help.corking.com or from the question mark icon in the top right corner of your Vantage platform. There's tons and tons of information on there, not just what we covered today. Of course, we'll always have our monthly release notes on there, but there's like KB articles, how to best use the platform. Just so much information to dig through. I highly recommend you read some of those if you haven't already. And then, of course, we're always here to help you and answer questions that come up along the way. So I think we'll go ahead and give everyone about half the time back here. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. We will see you back the first Wednesday of every month is when we host these. So join us again and let us know if you need anything in the meantime. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Zoe.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
everyone.
Bye, all.
Bye.